Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live episode of In Lay Terms. I'm your host, Payman Asghari, and today we have both a doctor, a PhD researcher, and a PPC candidate, Mr. David Speicher. Welcome, sir.
Hi, it is so nice to be here, Payman.
No, thank you very much for making time. David, I thought we could start, but if you could tell the audience a little about yourself, please.
Sure, I'm a Ontario born PhD in virology. I was raised in Huntsville, Ontario. I have stuttered my whole life, except I've never let it slow me down at all. Well, it's been hard. I've been told that I don't deserve airtime, and some people don't want to be patient and stuff, but that's on them. And in grade 12, a guidance counselor told me in Huntsville High not to go on because I won't make it in life. And well, that hurt. I've experienced things which a lot of you out there feel with the bullying and the whole mental health challenges, except that whole thing spurred me on to get a PhD in virology. I did a undergrad first at Redeemer University in Hamilton. I left there in 2004 and then did a master's in clinical microbiology with a research focus on coronaviruses. And then I did a PhD in virology. I've worked in Australia, Africa, Papua New Guinea, and India. I came home in 2014 as my wife was with child. And it's cool too, because a lot of left wing woke folk out there look at people like myself, churchgoer, white male, and go, "Oh, he's racist." And no, my wife is Cambodian, and I've met all kinds of wonderful people all over the world, and it's so nice to hear people's origins and the history and we're all very unique and special in that way. I came home in 2014. I did a postdoc at McMaster University and St. Joe's Hospital, and things went fine until the COVID-19 pandemic occurred, and a scientist like myself makes careful and good observations and asks the difficult questions and follows the facts about what goes on, and so I start to ask questions about the virus origin, how come our borders aren't shut, the whole PCR test thing, and I've lost multiple jobs in the pandemic, and I've been examining the COVID vaccine vials since July of 23 to look at what's actually there, how much DNA is there, and the whole SVV40 sequences, and what sort of harm that could be causing to our fellow Canadians.
So there's a lot in there. I'll start by saying you showed the your guidance counselor, so you did overcome adversity. Good on you. Prairie, good afternoon. She's one of
Prairie.
Our regulars. David, why don't we start? You mentioned the lab leak theory, whatever, Wuhan lab. Where, based on your experience, where did this virus, in your opinion, come from?
So there is evidence for both a lab leak and a animal thing, and well, there is evidence on both sides. I don't think that we will ever know entirely where things actually came from. A lab leak is definitely possible, and with the whole thing of gain of function research occurring there, and gain of function research needs to be banned. And then the whole animal thing where it jumped from a bat into the things, except unlike SARS-1 in 2003, in which we worked out it was a bat to a civet cat to this person, and tracked things well. We still, for SARS-2, do not have a confirmed definition intermediate host. And so until it's definitely shown either way, yeah, both are possible. So
Okay. I have all my questions are going to be very simple because I'm not a virologist like you. So
sure,
my
that's fine.
my next simple question, how does the SARS-CoV-2 COVID virus, how does that compare with like the common flu, with the bubonic plague, with polio, Spanish flu?
And your show is only for an hour, or what?
Okay, let's go
Because
with the
I'm
common.
like, it's a 3-hour lecture.
Sorry, let's go with the common flu. Let's start with the common flu.
Overall, the one thing I've seen with our latest pandemic is that it's not as bad as we were first told and shown and led to believe. So I worked on COVID research since January of 20. And I saw the whole rise in things in China and it till they and Iran. And what bugged me is that as a scientist, I saw it. I'm like, okay, if this comes here, we as a nation have to be set for it. Our borders have to be shut. Our plan, our pandemic plans written in 2004 weren't even used. It's like they're there, follow them, they're good. And so I warned folk to get set and stock up if things come. And then I'm being told that I'm fear mongering people, and then it shows up, and for the first 8 months I'm like, I know no one with COVID at all. My wife, I think, was sick in May of 20 for a week, and that's it. And I'm like, if this is so bad, where is it? Where's the I'm sick and the dead? Because in a typical seasonal cold and flu season, we all know people with kids who sent them to school, and Johnny is sick, and Johnny made your kid sick, and he's home, and now you're sick, and your wife's sick, and in this, we're all told it's a pandemic and lockdowns, and I'm like, where's all the sick people? And 2, if it's so bad, why are our borders not shut? And why are we letting in all the sick people from China? And so I asked those things. I'm being racist against Chinese people, and at the same time, Singapore, which is next to China, small country, locked down and said if you're flying through, you are not leaving the airport, and their cases remained low for a long time, and yet ours were open, welcoming people in. It's like, what's going on and what the government messaging is does not make sense. And so we need a desperate change in government and a reform to Health Canada to follow and show transparent, evidence-based science. There's a big loss in the past 4 years in the trust in medical science, right? Are the doctors telling us what's right? Are the vaccines safe and effective? The whole thing about autism, and the more we look, the more we see that our current government officials are lying to the people for their own gain. And so if this keeps on going, the people will never again trust the healthcare system or government officials. And so we need a big change back to evidence-based science research and policy.
Okay, so a couple follow-up questions, but first, it appears you have a fan. Jody says Dr. Speicher has a way of explaining virology speak in layman's terms. That's a reference to my show. That's easy on the brain. So thank you, Jody.
Thanks, Jody.
So follow-up question, I guess. What about, you said that there was, you didn't see too many sick people. There weren't too many dead or no dead. What about the argument that that's a testament to the great response by the government for people to mask up, social distance, lock everything down?
Well, at what cost? And so if it is a lockdown, a true lockdown, well, why are we at that time allowing marches going on against BLM? So and at the same time, locking us down, it did more harm than good. So if as we lock down, cancer patients weren't being seen and given the care that they needed, and same with all sorts of hospital services. The whole government testing of millions of people, basically wasted taxpayer funds, and the long term effects on mental health, and not seeing old people in their rooms, and family not being allowed in is doing more harm than a simple virus would. If we follow the path Sweden took, it would have made very little long-term difference.
All right. Another question. You mentioned the 2004 pandemic plans, policies that we had. What was different about them from what we actually did?
Ooh.
It's a difficult question. Sorry.
Well, I've not looked at those in about 10 months. So
No, that's okay. Let me rephrase the question. What would you have done differently if you were in government, or if you were God? What about the pandemic response would you have done differently? You already mentioned closing the borders. Is there anything else?
Would have shut things early and until we worked to what's going on, and two, I would have not shut the churches and places of worship, and sure, it could have been a spot where someone is sick and comes in and infects people, except common sense says if you're sick, stay home, rest up to get better, and then go out. The role of the local church is twofold. One, to give people hope in a dark time, and two, care for those who are sick and in need. In the 1880 smallpox outbreak in Montreal, church people were going in and caring for those who are sick. And here it's a simple respiratory illness, and people lived in fear. If the mainstream media reported what is actually going on, and not the whole government messaging of what's going on, the outcome would have been much different.
Okay, no, thank you. That makes sense. What do we got? We got M. Pino. Greetings, friends and patriots. We have Arnold Haino. He's actually a PPC candidate as well in Sault Ste. Marie. He says the virus had a 99.98% recovery rate. Is that accurate? Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Except for Delta, that is right. So unless you're old and sick, then the risk of long-term illness is low. Now, the whole concept of long COVID, okay? Long COVID and vaccine injury looks almost the same, except in some ways, the vaccine injury is a far worse illness, except they look almost the same. And so is it long COVID? Is it vaccine? Last week I was on a Zoom call with the WHO and a bunch of chief medical officers of health. I somehow managed to get in on that call, and they showed African data of malaria and other illnesses. And I basically asked, did you stratify your data based on vaccine status? Are they vaxxed or unvaxxed? And all of these scientists, they said, well, we've got the data. We've not looked at that data in that way because all of the COVID vaccines are all safe and effective, and therefore we don't have to look. And the vaxxed rate, I think, was about 80% vaxxed, and 54 of persons had long COVID, and it's like, so you've not looked as if this is in the vaxxed or the unvaxxed, and worked out things, and just assume that it's all virus caused. Like, yeah, it's like if you don't look for it, you'll not see it, and some of these folk are not looking for it on purpose.
If you saw me laughing there, it's because Gary he says the functions gained were for the governments.
Exactly.
Yeah. So a question: your opinion, long COVID, is it because of the virus or is it because of the vaccine?
In some cases, it's because of both, and the vaccines have sure lowered people's immune systems. Most of the respiratory reinfections seen now are all because of mycoplasma pneumonia. And at this time, we typically see influenza going up, RSV and rhino going up, our typical common cold viruses, except this fall it's a bacterial infection, which is rather uncommon, and I think it's because of all of our people have been vaxxed. So we've got more vaxxed people and a lower immune system, and so it's the whole terrain theory that if your system is not healthy, then other things can come in and take over and make you unwell.
I'm going to ask another legendary Payman Ascari simple question.
Cool.
Maybe it might be difficult for you to answer, but my understanding of an immune system, if you have a virus, the virus gets into one or more of your cells, and then your white blood cells, your antibodies, attack that cell and kill that cell, and that's why you get sick. Your cells are dying. It is the reason that people are getting sick. The people that have gotten the vaccine, that they're more susceptible to getting sick. Is it because their immune system is killing their own cells?
So that's a really basic rudimentary way of putting it. In a normal infection, your cells are dying, and that is making us sick and that their immune system is like a fence to keep things in one spot and deal with it there without it going all over. In what's your second part of your?
I guess my what is it? What is the function that causes people who've gotten the mRNA vaccine to become more susceptible?
Well, in that case, you've got a lower T cell response and a B cell response too. So I talked to a colleague in London who works on salivary antibodies. Okay, and so if you're jabbed once, you get some antibody response. If you get sick with the virus, it's a very large, more robust response. And then if you're jabbed a second time, all of your antibody responses drop to 0. So it was there. It was protected. The more shots you get, the more it's not helpful. So,
okay, let's go to the comments. Sorry, I was reading some of these. Ampino says it's time to start building a parallel health system by us for our health. What are your thoughts?
In part, that has already started. And there's telehealth systems. There's healthy and then the next being set up with red light therapy and hyperbaric therapy. And I think my biggest thought is that it's time to stop looking at things as a one solution fits all, and that there are other ways except for drugs and pills that'll help us recover, and that all of those have their place and their time, and as Doug Ford once said, we must have all hands on deck and all solutions on the table, and so it's time to end scientific and medical censorship.
It's funny you mentioned censorship. I'll skip ahead. Prairie, she says that YouTube is taking down a lot of the comments today.
Sweet.
So the comments that they haven't taken down, Prairie, in response to your, how you said government was scaring everyone. She said at the beginning she was very scared.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the best drive I ever had on the 401 was March of 1T. It was myself on the road and no one else in sight, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I remember when the 2 weeks to flatten the curve happened. I went out and there was no one on the street. It was absolute peace. Yeah.
It was quiet. It's like, where are all the people? And I'm told I'm causing problems and stuff. And I'm like, where's the sick people?
You're not allowed to ask obvious questions.
Right? And I worked on the virus. I've sequenced samples. I've had sick infectious samples in my hand. I've had sick people in my vehicle. I am not sick until March of 22. I go north to ice fish for the week. I'm alone in the bush all week, and I get sick on the Wednesday. I'm like, how's that fair?
Did you have your mask on the entire time?
Yeah, no.
There you go. Yeah.
And two, I have ivermectin. I've seen it work on me. It did nothing.
Really?
And I'm like, I know it works, but and some people respond to it and some don't. And so we must have healthcare methods which work for most and can be modified on a individual basis without our CPSOs and CPSAs coming after medical licenses for doing what a physician thinks is best. It's like, this is your field. You've trained in the field. You've worked in the field. And you're using this and it works. So, right?
So we, Arnold, I forgot to mention, Arnold Haino is actually a lab technician, and he characterized it like this: the human body fights the mRNA because it is being attacked by a synthetic technology. Is that an accurate? Okay.
Yes, it is. It is all NN1 methyl pseudouridine, which is unnatural. It makes these mRNA pieces plastic like and very difficult to break down in the body. And so ribosomal slippage occurs, ribosomal frame shifting, and therefore you're not making just full length spike. It's a range of spike, and so your immune system reacts to each of those in a different way, and so it's not just a one targeted response. It's a very broad disruptive response. Well, the whole cancer idea is because spike is toxic, LNPs are toxic. There is DNA integration going on because of the SV40 and answer, and the SV40 motor in the cell knocks out P53, and that helps our cells become oncogenic, and people develop turbo cancer.
Again, I was going to say, you mentioned the word ribosome, and I started getting flashbacks to my high school textbook. So thanks a lot for that.
You're welcome.
Kirk, welcome.
Hey,
good
Kirk.
to see you here. We got Woof. Some of your posts are just way too long. I can't read them. But he says Dr. Bakhti explains the B cell.
Bakhti.
Do you know him?
Oh, yeah.
Something about cell cannibalization that the spike protein instigates? I don't know. I'm not the doctor here.
Possibly.
So here's a question. Prairie is asking if, long COVID is actually a thing. Let me add to it. I asked you earlier if long COVID was because of the virus or the vaccine. What about the possibility that the vaccine is getting into the brain cells and the immune system is attacking and killing the brain cells, which never, hardly ever regenerate?
Well, first things, I've seen long COVID in some who are unvaxxed and got sick and have gone downhill. So there are people with long COVID. There's also people with vaccine injury. The downfall is with the whole ribosomal frame shift thing is that all of the spike is not full length, and some is small and will, and a lot of these are released in exosomes, and if it's small enough, can pass the blood brain barrier and be prion like and affect the brain. The large immune cells can't enter the brain, and so it just causes long-term harm.
That I did not know that some people without the vaccine got long COVID. So thanks for that. On the issue of brain fog, Wolf, says
I've
that
had brain fog.
Yeah, I've lived with it all my life. The spike protein and LNPs disperse throughout the body. If they get into the brain, the chronic inflammation of the hippocampus very bad.
Yep.
Brain fog, difficulty following complex conversations, emotional dysregulation, very bad. I'm telling you, I've had brain fog all my life.
Well, hopefully this conversation isn't too complex for him, so
hopefully
not.
What do we got? Prairie. We'll depart the medicine part shortly. This episode's going a little longer, but most vaccines are now synthetic. They're not made from the live virus anymore. Is that true?
Some are. Influenza is still a live virus, as is the polio vaccine given in Africa. So, yeah.
Okay. Arnold, he says that vitamin D, K2, and vitamin C are must in every medicine cabinet. I disagree. I think it should be whiskey and vodka. But what do you think?
Well, I have my Coke KU10 here, and I've got my vitamin C here. And the cool thing is that I noticed this week I picked up this bottle in Switzerland, and how do I get this to work?
Almost. There we go.
It says vitamin C, retard.
I'm guessing that means like to retard, to pull back or something. Maybe
I don't know. But see, vitamin C is good, and here's my D. So yeah, I take these each day. They're very helpful, and I feel like an old guy with his pill things, and you got all your vitamins. I'm like, man, I'm not old, but I would rather take all of these vitamins than heart meds and dementia meds and stuff. So
there you go, Arnold. So I guess he agrees with you and not me. So let's leave the medical stuff behind. That's very impressive. Let's get on to why. Here's my first question for your political run. Why did you decide to run for public office?
So I was first asked in 22 by Derek Sloan to run for the Ontario part and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't like to be in the limelight. I can't talk and explain things and fight as good as some. And Maxime's team contacted myself in 23 and asked, and you know, my whole thing is that I might win, I might not win, except we are losing Canada fast, and if I don't stand up, there are so many people out there that don't have the balls to stand up and just sit back and let other people dictate to them the government policy and the tax that they should pay. And a lot of people complain about what the government's doing and that they don't stand up and fight back on a local or provincial or a federal level. And so we all have a moral obligation, and I'm sick of the way that this country is falling apart. Our liberal rules are basically killing Canada, and the liberals need to be held accountable. Whoever made all of the COVID policies need to be held accountable. And two, there's so many vaccine injured people, and our government to vaccine injured people. Any idea what the compensation for it is? No.
Oh, that's your question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about Gary here. He said, "Thank you, David. Way too many cowards in Canada, including me." You're not a coward, Gary. You helped me plenty. But he's saying he agrees with you. Like, people need to stand up.
Yeah. I know of a pile of vaccine injured people. 3 of them can't even walk, and our government's compensation to those people is made. Medically assisted dying. It says if I run over you in my vehicle and I don't kill you the first time, and then I get out, I go, oh, hi. Would you like me to back up and complete the job? No, the guy who's driving the vehicle and caused the harm needs to be held accountable for their actions, and those who are injured deserve all of the help and support we can give them.
So there's a tough question from I agree, and the like giving aid to people that you've already harmed. You give a really good example with backing up over them. I see it in the drug space too, where the government sells them the drugs, safe supply, and then when they're harmed, the government sells them the rehabilitation, and then when the rehab doesn't work, the government sells them assisted suicide. So it's a massive conflict.
Right. And two, what about the whole concept of my body, my choice, and informed consent? And if it is informed consent, why are they censoring all of the scientific info, saying what they don't want out there? Okay, for example, our work on the DNA contamination in 32 Canadian vials. I first submitted that December 1st. It's been 2 weeks and 2 days, and it's been rejected 3 times and not even sent out for peer review. And therefore, if you don't think it's good science, explain why and send it out, get comments, and let's challenge things in the peer review, and the journal editors won't even send it out. That they are sellouts and cowards.
Yeah, what I'm going to say, everybody knows, but all of our institutions have failed, and science is one of them.
Yep.
Let's see, David. I want to move this along because I know you're running out of time. Okay, here. This is the tough question from Wolf. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but without naming names, does David think that some of the COVID decision makers deserve capital punishment?
That they deserved to be held accountable for their actions.
Fair enough. There you go,
That's
Wolf.
all I'll say.
Nope, that's fair. You mentioned the reason you're running is because we're losing Canada. This is a vague question, high-level question, but give some examples. I agree with you. Everyone does, but what are some examples of how we're losing our country?
Well, our whole health care system is going downhill fast. It's bankrupt. We've got a big immigration crisis. We've got a dictator who needs to stand down. We've got homelessness on the rise, and we've got camps everywhere, and the whole firearms thing has been insane.
Yeah, the firearms one really gets me angry.
Because if we look at that, okay, the like firearm laws here are fine as they are. There's so much worse in the States, and two, all of these new firearm restrictions on the criminals does nothing. It does not keep firearms out of those who want to do and cause harm. So,
in the words of Prairie, they're insane.
Yep.
Exactly. Why don't I got one final question. It's another. It's kind of, maybe it's easy for you to answer. Maybe it's difficult. Why did you run for the People's Party and not for the Conservative Party, which is much more established, much bigger?
Well, I have in the course of the pandemic, I find the conservatives, most of them, they talk good and they have no balls. I have met, and I've been trying the entire pandemic to sit down with MP Scott H. Chitchison the entire pandemic. He's my local MP in Huntsville, and to express and teach him on what's going on, and he will not meet with myself. He gets very offensive if I point out things to him and what his role is as a MP, and I have seen, and I've talked 4 times in the pandemic with Pierre at rallies, and I've told him who I am and the science I'm doing and what I'm finding, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. Let's meet and talk and get in touch with my assistant here." And I write him, and nothing happens at all. And out of the whole Australian thing and the David Declaration, conservatives at this point in time will not touch anything about the vaccines or the vaccine injured at this point in time, because, as I've been told, it's too close to an election, and they are worried about losing votes. Since when have votes been more important than people's health?
No, I agree. I think it is a mistake, but it's the Conservative Party strategy. They just look to polling.
Exactly.
Something's gone wrong. They're only interested in getting a majority government. They're not interested. There's no morals or principles.
There's none.
So I wanted to read a couple of things. Jody says you answered the question wrong. When I asked you why did you run for the PPC instead of the Conservatives, the correct answer is because we're better. You've got another fan. I love this man. Because the Conservatives pushed the vaccine as well. That's another. Yeah.
Well, I think on that point early on, we're all doing as Health Canada says, and it's a pandemic, and so no one, and 4 years ago, did anyone believe that their doctor would be wrong, that what's going on is for our best interest, that we should just, right, where we're so used to, okay, it's 2 weeks, I can stay home, and not thinking about things for ourselves and going, that doesn't make sense. So I think too many people early on followed, and we've since learned to wake up and listen and ask things before we make a choice. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying I think that's what happened.
No, it's beautifully put. We were too trusting, and this has been a learning experience.
Exactly.
So I'm going to end it with the last comment of the day that I'm going to read from Wolf. David is a real man compared to Pierre. David is right to call out Pierre Poilievre's cowardice and the cowardice of the Conservative Party. So thank you very much.
Wolf.
That was a great comment. David, we're about an hour 15 in, so let's end it. Do you want to maybe let the audience, I mean, your handle is there, but where can they follow you? Where can they learn more about you?
I'm on X as the handle there. I'm also on Substack. And I have a website that's davidspeicher.com. So it's all there.
David, thank you very much for coming on. I'm really glad I got to meet you. I'm sorry it took so long. The party is just so big and spread out.
That's okay.
But I'm hoping that moving forward we get to talk more, and I'll definitely bring you back on.
Awesome.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
All right, guys. Take care and Merry Christmas to everyone out there.
And a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
And we're going off. Bye.